Hi everybody! This video will be a review on absolute value equations. Now we define absolute value as the distance away from zero. For example, on a number line, if I were to take steps from 0 to 8, I would take 8 steps. If I were to take steps from 0 to -8, I would also take 8 steps. Because the distance that both -8 and 8 are from 0 is 8. And that's the whole idea here. The absolute value of -8 is 8, and the absolute value of 8 is 8. What that tells us is that there could be two options of values that both have the same absolute value, and the absolute value is always positive. Now looking at this top equation, the absolute value of x equals 6. Now there are two things that the inside here could possibly be. X could equal 6, and x could equal -6, because both 6 and -6 have an absolute value of 6. Looking at the bottom equation, the absolute value of 2x equals 6. Again, we'll have two options. 2x, the inside could be 6, or the inside could be -6. Now to get our two answers, we're just going to solve both of these equations. So in the first one, divide each side by 2. You get x equals 3. The second one, divide each side by 2. You get x equals -3. Now the way we're going to write our answers for these kind of problems, because there are two answers, we'll write them inside of these curly brackets, least to greatest. So we have -3 and 3 as our answers. Moving on to equations that may have more steps. What I like to notice here, we have the absolute value bars, we have the stuff inside of it, but then in this one we have a 10 on the outside. We don't want anything on the outside, so let's go ahead and get rid of it. The 10 is being multiplied by the quantity v plus 2, so I'm going to divide each side by 10. The 10 simplify out to 1, so we're just left with v plus 2, the absolute value of it, equals 5. Now, is there anything on the outside? No. So I can go right ahead and make my two equations. V plus 2 equals 5. V plus 2 equals -5. And now I solve them both to get my answers. For the first one, subtract 2 from each side. They cancel. You have v equals 3. Subtract 2 from both sides. You have v equals -7. Write it in our curly brackets. And that's our answer. Moving on, we have the absolute value of 7m plus 3 equals 73. I ask myself again, is there anything on the outside of the absolute value bars on the left-hand side of the equation? Yes, we have this plus 3 in our way. So we can go ahead and get rid of that. Subtract 3 from both sides. Absolute value of 7m equals 70. Now, is there anything on the outside? No. So we go ahead and we make our two equations. We have 7m equals 70. We have 7m equals -70. The first one, divide each side by 7. M equals 10. Second one, divide each side by 7. M equals -10. In our curly brackets, we have -10 and 10 as our solutions. All right, this time we have the absolute value of k minus 10 equals 3. Is there anything on the outside of the absolute value signs? No. So we go right ahead and jump to our two equations because there's nothing on the outside to get rid of. So we have k minus 10 equals 3. K minus 10 equals negative 3. Add 10 to both sides over here. K equals 13. Add 10 to both sides over here. These cancel. K equals negative 7. We write that in our curly brackets. We have negative 7, 13. And that's it. Okay, now we have the absolute value of n minus 4 all over 2 equals 21. Is there anything on the outside of the absolute value bars? Yes, we have this 2 that's being divided. So in order to make that cancel out, we're going to do the opposite and multiply both sides by 2. The 2's cancel, and we're left with the absolute value of n minus 4 equals 42. Now, is there anything on the outside of the absolute value bars? No. So we go ahead and make our two equations. We have the inside equals 42, or the inside equals negative 42. And then we just solve them both to get our answers. For number 1, we're adding 4 to both sides. They cancel. We're left with n equals 46. Number 2, again, we add 4 to both sides. 4's cancel. We have n equals negative 38, because negative 42 plus 4 is negative 38. So with our curly brackets, we're writing negative 38, 46. And that's our answer. For extra practice, go ahead and pause the video and try this problem on your own. Then come back and see how you did. Again, for extra practice, pause the video and try this one on your own. Then come back to check your answer. And that's it. Good job.